We are here today at the Royal Academy of Arts as sponsors of the concourse on Savile Row's Classic Car Seminar. As part of this, we've been talking about key tax considerations and customs duty impacts of owning a classic car. The key personal tax considerations are that a car, whether or not it's a classic or not, is outside the scope of capital gains tax. One of the things to worry about is inheritance tax and whether or not the car can be passed down a generation and the impact, whether it's passed down on death or during your lifetime. Another point to consider would be if you are constantly buying and selling classic cars, whether or not you would fall outside the capital gains tax exemption and actually be treated as trading by HMRC.
The basic premise of today was to find out, can classic cars be construed as art? Well, the answer is obviously yes. HMRC view cars as collectibles. If they're collectibles, that means they come under a different classification heading, which means you don't have to pay customs duty and a reduced rate of import VAT. However, there's certain things that classic car owners who are going to move their cars across borders need to bear in mind. They need to make sure they're unaltered, or as much as possible. They need to make sure that any parts they bring in are in effect new old stock, and they need to make sure that when they bring them in, they meet certain rules and obligations. If you want to move it temporarily to bring it to an exhibition, just like today, then you can use certain carnets, temporary admission regimes that allow you to bring your car in. However, you've got to be mindful about where your car originally comes from and where you live at that current point in time. These can all cause problems for you, so it's best to run it past us and we will give you the full idea of where you should be, where your car can be and how you can drive it in the UK and how you can enjoy it. If you also want to maintain your car while it's overseas, you can export it, you can import it, you can take it to specialist dealers, and there are special customs regimes that allow you to do that. You don't pay any customs duty, you don't pay any import VAT. When you send your car, for example, back to Mercedes Daimler, they will refit it for you, they import it free of charge, and then you can re-import it free of charge. These are all special regimes that need some work and some input from specialist advisors to ensure that you minimise any duty liability that you have.
Well, good morning everyone, and here we are with all these beautiful cars, considering whether cars are art. Now, of course, from a VAT point of view, they're not cars at all. They're simple goods, which means we have some basic tax principles to think about. First, when you move goods, there's always a VAT charge at 20% unless a particular relief applies, where we have some favourable relief for the classic car market. The second principle is that when you move goods, cars, across international borders, you have to deal with the import and export procedures and customs controls and everything that goes along with that. Now, we are favoured in the classic car market because there is an effective 5% VAT rate rather than the full 20% for cars that generally speaking are over 30 years old and, importantly, in their original state. So when you have classic cars that may have been modified for track days and hill climbs, some care there needs to be taken because that may prejudice the original state condition. There are other reliefs as well for cars that don't meet the 30-year test, what HMRC calls historical significance. And there that means cars used in films, owned by celebrities, and that have a historical provenance to go along with them. The important message is that yes, there are some favourable VAT treatments for moving classic cars. Be careful if you want to use the car in the country you're going to, as that can prejudice some of those reliefs that apply. Whenever you're moving goods across borders or cars and there's import procedures that need to be dealt with, make sure the documentation is up to scratch, covers all the provenance of the vehicle, any upgrades, replacements might be there, which also covers imports of spare parts as well, where the same 30-year test and conditions still apply.